Hey gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be jumping back into DC Worlds Collide and we're going to talk about the tier list. There's some backstory and stuff about the tier list. It's an old one, but yet a new one, so we're going to talk about that. There's actually a lot to share there. But before we get into that, I am opening up the video just a little bit differently because I wanted to share with you something new that I'm doing. Kind of like I'm calling it a journey that I've been on, just because it's a little bit different for me. It's still mobile games and things like that, but I'm having a lot of fun with this little project, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So take a look at this. Hey gamers, I keep talking about this journey that I'm on, and really what that is this right here, Raid Shadow Legends. I started playing a little over a month ago, and I'm having a blast with the game. So much so that I created a whole new channel for it, and I started to put out content on the game, really more focused towards the new player perspective. If you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest that you do. You can use my QR code up here or the link in the description below. By doing that, you'll help support the channel, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. But once you get through the intro, you'll also get a free epic support to Gore. And then once you hit level 15, you're going to get another free epic support, which is Ugo. Fantastic supports for the game. You'll also get resources. These types of games, we all know that we can never have too many resources. Not only that, but we also have a promo code that you can use, Monkey King. You can unlock Sun Wukong, who is a fantastic character in the game as well. And just by doing that and your starter character, you have a fantastic team to start the game with, which is just absolutely awesome. Once you do that, definitely check my channel out. I got a whole bunch of content here for you to take a look at. In one of these videos, I really talk about why 2025 is the best time to join Raid. And it's this right here. We've got an absolutely awesome event. It is Alice in Wonderland. By logging into the game for 7 days, you're going to unlock Alice the Wanderer. That's going to complete your starter team right there, just right off the bat. The event started January 8th. It goes until April 10th, so you have plenty of time to get in there as long as you start the event before March 26th. Not only do we have Alice the Wanderer, we've got some other great characters with Cheshire Cat, Knave of Hearts, Mad Hatter, and of course, the Queen of Hearts herself. This is a great time to join it. Like I said, if you haven't tried the game yet, you can use my QR code up here or the link in the description below. You're going to get to Gore. Once you get through the intro, you're going to get Ugo once you hit level 15, and you're going to get a bunch of resources to help you. And remember, Monkey King, the promo code there, you definitely don't want to miss out on him. He's the first code that you want to use. And all you returning players out there, we have not forgot about you. There's a link in the description below for you as well. You can go ahead and use that and get to Gore and some resources. Once you download the game, go to my channel, check out the videos that I have there, and leave some comments. Let me know how you're enjoying the game. What do you think of the game so far, starting it in 2025? And what do you think about these awesome characters? All right, and welcome back. Like I said, if you choose to support me on my journey through Raid and that game, I definitely appreciate it, so thank you for that. Go ahead and sub over there, like and comment on the videos. If you're playing the game, let me know. If you're not, but you pick up the game and want to play along, let me know that as well. All right, let's talk about this tier list. A little bit of history about it. It is old. It is 3 years old. It was put together by Reaper's Fury X, plus a bunch of other people that he had worked with, high-end people who got to the very end game of the game, because the game was out back in 2022 for several months. So it gave a lot of time for people to really get towards that end game, build up these different characters, and find out who's really good in the end game and who's really not, who could use some work. So this is more of an end game tier list. So this is really the base of what I created this tier list off of. We do have some additional characters in there that Reaper didn't have on his, but I did take a look at some of his opinions and other people's opinions as far as some of the new characters and stuff too. So I want to say thank you to Reaper's Fury X. He's put so much into this, and he's probably the most knowledgeable person I know on this game, hands down. So Reaper, appreciate you. All right, so let's take a look at this tier list. So here's what we have here. Up at the top here, we're going to run through this. I've got a couple tabs to show you. This document actually isn't available just yet. Once I complete it, I will make it available for everybody, and I'll put a link to it so that y'all can go ahead and download it. But when we talk about that S tier, it's those characters that just are absolutely phenomenal. We only have 2 characters up there right now with Wonder Woman and Lex. Wonder Woman, massive AoE damage. We have Lex, who does some nice shields. I got this explanation tab over here. So basically what I did here is I went through every single character. I went through all of their kits, and I picked anywhere from 2 to 4 really good things from their kit that make them stand out and kind of justify where we have them. So Wonder Woman here, massive AoE and single target damage. She has a chance for a stun, so you have some CC there. She also has some chance to silence on crit, which is awesome. She also has a crit damage boost for the team as well. Lex, massive shields, awesome there. He also invites his allies to do basic attacks and assists and stuff. So he's just a lot of versatility there. You can put them in absolutely every single team. When we talk about our S tier, so these are also great characters to use. And when we take a look at this list all together, all of these characters can find a function somewhere. They're not absolutely horrible, except maybe when we start taking a look down here at the C tier. But you could probably use them somewhere. When we take a look at the S tier, we've got Constantine, again, great damage. If we just take a look at the list over here, massive AoE damage on his ult. He's also got a passive healing on turn start, which is really good, so you constantly are seeing your team heal. We've got Nightwing. He's got his block rate before adding additional stats from gear. He's got high block rate, which is absolutely awesome. He blocks quite a bit of attacks. If he doesn't block an attack, he gives himself shelter. I also took a look at those types of things as well. When we take a look at shelter, decreases damage taken from the next attack by 50%. So that's a huge decrease in damage right there. When we talk about Green Arrow, awesome AoE damage with his ult there. He's also got a chance for an extra turn on an enemy kill. He's got a nice dot with Frostbite. He's also got higher crit rate and damage when the enemy is above 50% HP. So he's essentially, when you have him on your team, you want his ult to go first. We've got a few more characters here with Zatanna, Flash. Now these images here, I don't have them, so it's hard for me to get their images, so I'll fill them in. But we got Flash, we got Deathstroke, and we got Green Lantern Hal. When we take a look at them, right here's Zatanna. She is absolutely amazing. I don't know why she wasn't classified as S tier when looking at the previous list. I don't have a whole lot of experience with her, so I'm going with what that rating was. But grants allies lifesteal, frantic, and strong attack, so a lot of buffs there. The ultimate inflicts armor break for the entire battle, which is awesome. And then the badge, one thing I learned, the badge adds turn meter boost for the team. If you take a look at some of those debuffs and stuff here, so frantic is an increase in crit. You got lifesteal, obviously stinging life. Strong attack, when we take a look at that, strong attack is, where are you? Right here, increases attack by 8%. And then when you take a look at the armor break there for the entire battle, that is over here, decreases defense by 20% and crit resistance by 5%. So that's pretty cool. She's absolutely awesome. I think kind of like the massive, awesome kind of trio would be Wonder Woman, Constantine, and then Zatanna, and then fill in who you need. Flash, he's got a self-haste buff, a team crit, and a firm stand buff, and a self-action bar progression stat, which is not stat, but ability, which is pretty cool. He's got enemy action bar reduction, and then he actually revives. So when he dies, he comes back at 100% health. He also has a bunch of extra buffs and everything. So he's pretty cool there. Deathstroke, action bar progression as well. He's got some bleed damage and a chance of an extra turn at the end. At the end of turn, bleed increases chances. So the more bleeds there are, the more chance he has to do that. Green Lantern Hal, he's got some high damage on his ult. He grants shields to himself and to the team as well. And then his shields get stronger as his team takes damage. So that rounds out the S tier. A tier, when we take a look at A tier, we've got Kid Flash and Grodd. You got Superman, Blue Beetle, brand new. So and actually pretty cool when we take a look at what he does. We got Two-Face and we got Penguin here as well. When we go into that, Kid Flash, he's a single target healer. I really like Black Canary. She's really good for an elite, and I use her quite a bit because she's got AoE heals. But Kid Flash is a single target heal. He grants shelter and sturdy, and then he also grants himself haste. Grodd's got this knock back the enemy action bar, which is pretty cool. Debuffs the enemy with slow and weaken and armor. When we take a look at weaken, I don't know if we've taken a look at that just yet, but that decreases the attack by 8% and block break by 5%. So he's a pretty good tank. He's also got a damage reduction from DPS with his debuffs. So that's pretty cool. Superman, physical damage reduction, self-revive, and limited invulnerability, and then inflicts burn with his ult. So he doesn't die right away. He comes back, then he's invulnerable for a certain period of time. Blue Beetle, I really like him. He's got this shelter. I've only used him currently in Elseworlds right now. A lot, actually every single new character I've used in Elseworlds. But I like him. He's got this shelter to the back row. He really protects that back row. He shelters the back row. If we take a look at what shelter does again, right here, decreases damage taken from the next attack by 50%. So he protects that back row. Back row ally damage reduction as well when hit with crits. So when he's hit with crits, we'll have to take a look. Hold on. Let me double check that again. Let's see. Double check my note on that for Blue Beetle over here. I think it's when he takes crit hit. Each time Blue Beetle is hit by a crit attack, increases the damage reduction of back row allies by 2.5% up to 20%. So that's pretty cool. He continues to protect that back row. We got Two-Face here. I really like him. He fills kind of this dual purpose. In the front row, he shows his good side. In the back row, he shows his bad. In the front row, he's got bleed and silence. He's got slow debuffs. He also has front row damage reduction buff, which is pretty cool. And then in that back row, he's got stuns and bleeds and debuffs. He also got a back row damage buff as well, so helps cause a little bit more damage there. Penguin, back row attacker as well. Really good to keep in mind who these back row attackers are, because some of these battles that you get into, you really want to do damage and take out that back row. So he's got back row attackers. He's got self-healing. He's got this back row damage reduction as well, so he protects that back row. And then max HP and healing receive bonuses, which is pretty cool. So that's the A+ tier right there. When we take a look at A, I've got Supergirl down there. We've got Superboy and Red Hood. We've got Martian Manhunter. Vixen is new as well. Batman in the original tier list, he was at a B. I really like him, and I use him quite a bit actually, so I moved him up into the A. We've got Jessica here, and then I added a couple of elites here. These are a couple of elites that are very, very good. Canary, obviously, with the heals. And then you've got Mr. Freeze here with his as a tank. So if we take a look at this, just running through this, Supergirl inflicts freeze and frostbite. That's really the only thing she has is that freeze and that frostbite. But her attacks do more damage against frozen and frostbitten enemies. So she does do quite a bit more damage. Superboy's got a nice burn. He's got a counter attack when his allies take damage, or a chance for it. He's also got this damage increase after each basic attack. Red Hood's got a self-revive. So we've got a few people here with the self-revive. And an auto ult on the enemy who took him out. So you got to get that up to level 3. But if the enemy took him out, he self-revives and then does an ult. He launches his ult on that enemy. And it doesn't cost anything. So that's pretty cool. Crit guarantee on ult final strike. And then grants himself some crit buffs. Vixen, I think she's got a pretty cool kit. She's got this attack where she attacks the entire front row and then the middle of the back row. And then if there's nobody around there for her ult to hit, then she stuns all other enemies. So I guess that would really only be 2 other enemies. So I thought it was an interesting kit. She's got this attack and block buff with more allies. The more allies she has on her team, then the more attack and block buff she has. So as she loses allies, she loses that effectiveness. And then she's got front row sturdy armor buff. If all enemies are above 50% health. So that definitely helps out a little bit. Batman here, high single target damage. He does well. His damage increases with the number of, or with the debuffs that are on an enemy. So you definitely want to make sure he does his ult on enemies with debuffs. He also inflicts his own debuff with armor break. If we didn't take a look at armor break earlier, it's right down here. Decreases defense. Yeah, we did. And crit resistance. All right, let's see. Let's run through the rest. Jessica, she's another one that has shields, which is kind of cool. I do like the thought of her kit. I think if we could put together a cool shield team, that would be cool. She grants shields to all allies in AoE attack with an ult, so she does that right off the bat, which is kind of nice. Single target shield to the lowest ally with to the lowest HP ally, and then increase damage when allies get a shield. And it doesn't even have to be her shield. So that's why if you get her on a shield team, allies who get the shield, then she does some increased damage there. Martian Manhunter, he's okay. Grants damage reduction to all of his allies with his ult. He heals allies when he's healed. So he really depends on him getting healed in order to be a benefit to everybody else. He also has a weaken that he inflicts. Black Canary, we already talked about her. Nice AoE healer. She grants shelter as well. 100% chance to silence also. She also inflicts weaken. which is nice. Mr. Freeze, great for front row. He heals the front row. He does put him kind of in this coffin type thing, so when he protects a front row character, and they're in this coffin, they can't attack, but they do some healing, which they get healed, which is nice. Also inflicts frostbite. If we take a look at the B tier hero, Bizarro, Robin, we got Poison Ivy, Bane, Ocean Master, and Bloodsport. I want to talk about these two here just a little bit when we get to their kits here. So Bizarro, nice. He's got this damage share, which I think is cool, and they try and counter it with damage reductions and an increase in HP and stuff like that. I just don't think it's enough because he does die pretty quickly. And then he's got this self-heal and is freeze with his ult, so some nice crowd control when he does freeze. I think there's some balance that could be done there to really make him a much better tank. Robin, back row attacker, nice to have. Does some pretty good damage to that back row. And he does more damage to enemies who are above 50% HP. So, well, you got to get that up to level 3. That, again, is a really good ult to have really early on in the battle. Poison Ivy, back row attacker as well. Increased damage to poison enemies. She really relies on her enemies to be poisoned in order to increase that damage. And obviously she herself increases poison. Bane, it's got a self-heal, an AoE, a chance to stun. That is pretty cool. On paper, he looks really, really good. Self-healing and sturdy armor buff when damage exceeds 8% of his max HP. I think that's pretty cool. If damage is done to him that exceeds 8% of his max HP, then he gets those buffs. That self-healing, that sturdy armor buff. I think that's pretty cool. Ocean Master and Bloodsport. These two, I think, really came to the game as more of a duo. Ocean Master inflicts this weaken on his ult, so it does this weaken, and then if enemies have a weaken, it adds a bleed. So he's definitely will do. He definitely would do. He definitely does well in a team that just floods the enemy with weaken to continually add those bleeds. He also buffs allies with block percent and counterattacks when his allies block, which is why he matches pretty well, I think, with Bloodsport, because Bloodsport buffs the team with a block, but it's only for one attack. So he buffs his entire team with 100% block. As soon as somebody gets attacked, the entire team then loses that block buff. I think it should be per person, and honestly, if whoever gets hit, they lose the block buff. Everybody else keeps it until they get hit. That would definitely make him much stronger. He also inflicts weaken, which works really well with Ocean Master and the bleeds. And then he does some pretty decent damage. So these two, I think, really come together as a package. And then when we take a look at the C tier here, we've got Starfire and Star Sapphire. Star Sapphire here has got some burn damage, inflicts some armor break. Gains energy for enemy detonation on the burn, and then Starfire here uses healing done to increase attack damage, which is nice. Got a CC with a stun, some minor healing when the marked enemy, so when she stuns an enemy, that enemy gets marked, and then whoever hits that enemy, she's going to do some minor healing right there. So it's okay. I think it was a pretty good call there to put them down in those tiers. And I think even, I think Reaper, in kind of his new look on it, I think put one of these two, I think Star Sapphire into kind of a D tier. All right. That was a lot. I moved pretty quick, untested. So we've got John Stewart here, Green Lantern John Stewart, not in the game right now, except for you can select him as one of those heroes here. Let me show you. So you can pull him out here. So not that he's not in the game, but in here. Oh, cancel. In here, this is the only spot he's in right now. So, and then all these other Raven, Cyborg, who was in the game before, Pandora, all these characters here aren't in the game. Mara is actually new to the game as well. She was in last year's beta, but she wasn't in the game back in 2022. So, really gotta figure out how well these characters are now. So, by and large, the tier list that Reaper put together, Reaper and team, Reaper and friends, put together in 2022 is still very accurate. So that's why we're continuing to use it. And now as we continue to move forward, we'll make adjustments from there. So there is my tier list, my reasoning for the tier list. And this whole guide here, like I said, I'll make available once I am done with it. and I'll put a link in an upcoming video. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts? What do you think of the tier list? What do you think about the kits? Who's your favorite character? All that good stuff. All right, everybody, as always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.